here instead.
That's a very interesting pick, and this is the third time now that we've seen a North American team first pick Arden on the B side.
This is something that we saw from Europe all the time in the regular season. They had this massive priority on Arden, but Cloud9 again banning the Catherine away from themselves. I assume, once you have the Arden, it makes a little bit more sense to not want your opponents to have the Catherine, but it baffles. I am absolutely baffled as to why they are not just taking the Catherine when there's an Idris on Dynasty side.
Yeah, that baffles me too, because Catherine is such a good counter into an Idris, and then it forces your opponent to ban a Baptiste, so you have a much more predictable draft strategy coming into this. So Dynasty, are they going to ban away potentially the Baptiste here, or are they going to ban away Cruel? So Cruel will be banned here.
Yeah, I mean, Krull has definitely been one of those junglers that's just so impactful in the game. And Vox will be the lock-in for Cloud9. So nice comfort pick coming in there for Old School, and basically for every carry in the entire Vainglory, to be honest. But now Dynasty, they've got a double pick to work.
Yeah, I mean, Lyra's open, and Lyra is actually good into Arden. Lyra slightly counters Arden because the Bulwark disables his Vanguard ability, that disables his Blood for Blood. He cannot Gauntlet in a Bulwark. So if Mowgli plays this properly, they can outplay Gabe's Arden.
Not only that, but one of the key things about the Vox Idris matchup, this is a matchup we've seen a lot where it can really go either way depending on who just gets the first engagement. And if you can jump onto the Vox, if you can portal in with the Idris jumping on him at the same time, prevent him from being able to use that Sonic Zoom to escape, then you can take this Vox down in an instant, especially when you pair it with a Black Feather.
This is going to be a CP Black Feather because Tricky does not play weapon lane Black Feather, so that's why I know
you don't
CP.
play Idris in the jungle generally either.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could work in jungle actually.
We have seen a little bit of weapon power Black Feather in the jungle over in EA, so maybe that's an option. We'll have to see what they go with. I would expect to see Idris going in there.
I think Baptiste would be really solid here. It's a triple melee, or they can even go Rhyme, but actually go Koshka. Wow. So Koshka will be picked up here. That's a super aggressive composition. But however, this is risky because Lyra, CP Blacker will outscale the Koshka late game.
This is Joseph saying, "Oh, Rikumeza, you thought that was how you play Koshka? Let me show you how to play Koshka." This is a hero that Joseph has played countless times. One of the best in the world, if not the best.
Yeah, the Koshka is going to be absolutely terrifying, especially, with the Black Feather in the jungle. Black Feather takes a little bit of time to really get up, especially if it ends up being the CP Black Feather. His clear speed is not that great.
All right, well, we'll see how this one's going to pan out. It's time to jump into Game 3. Let's see if Dynasty have got what it takes to turn this into more. It's time to pass it up to our casters.
Well, that's right. Going into Game 3 here, we do have the Koshka for C9. We know they love this hero. We'll see what they can do here.
I think this is going to be really interesting for me. Both captains have been so influential in both of these games. Both Gabe Vizzle and Mowgli were some of the real key winning factors behind their team's wins in the previous games. Now you've got something that is a little bit more relaxed. You've got two almost less proactive captains and more reactive captains coming out. Both of them can have proactivity, but we'll have to see. I think Joseph is looking to make a mark on this Koshka, though.
I think he will make a mark, and once again, a lot of pressure on Mowgli. Bright Bulwarks will be incredibly important. We talked about what it can do to shut down an Arden. Sometimes it feels like you can't do anything against a good Lyra.
Well, it's not just the Vanguard, it's not just the Gauntlet, not just the Blood for Blood, but you can shut down the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, you can shut down the jump in from the Koshka as well, you can shut down Voxes, Sonic Zoom, plenty of things you can use Bright Bulwark here for.
Yeah, well, we'll see. The crowd appears to be pretty hyped moving into Game 3 here. Let's see if Dynasty can shake things up and take Cloud9 down one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are into the house to unfold, and we're going to have Gabe Vizzle playing games with Mowgli early on. Mowgli with that sigil out, providing some vision and allowing him to move forward if he chose to do so.
Tricky actually going around the early jungle here with Rikumeza to help him get through those early camps like Tasty Bacon alluded to. The CP Black Feather clear speed early on isn't so good, especially at level 1, so Tricky just doing what he can to help out, but Old School looking to punish for that. Booker Eulogy still in its incredibly good sustained state on this current update, hasn't yet been nerfed, as the live update currently has the nerf to Booker Eulogies, so often lane matchups are a little bit more forgiving, so Tricky will get away in this range mismatch a little bit more easily, and Mowgli's heal is going to help him even more so.
Well, Rikumeza on the CP Blackfeather. I think this is where I really want to keep my eyes as we get into these engagements. If he's landing his on points and able to trade damage and move in for executions, it's going to be really hard to deal with.
I think everybody talks about spikes for heroes, and CP Blackfeather's spike is level 8. A lot like Celeste, you get the extended range on your on point. That gives you that range advantage over C9. So I'm thinking, for the most part, Ricomez is going to try and power farm up to that level 8. You're going to have a range advantage. It's going to force C9 to make a move on you. You're going to force C9 to use the gauntlet offensively. You're going to force Joseph to look for opportunities to find engages, and that's where Mowgli can come in and shut them down, and they can start to make that turnaround counter engage. Because that range advantage at level 9 is going to be solidly in Dynasty's favor. Ooh, Ricomeza.
I was about to say, when will we see C9 moving for the aggression? And here we have it. Ricomeza taking a whole bunch of damage, but Mowgli's here. Bright Bulwark may stall out the aggression. Does Joseph want to move forward on this? It looks like with the Lyra dropping down, C9 think twice.
Yeah. Mowgli taking Bright Bulwark second. That's a good move for him, by the way, because a lot of Lyrals will put 2 points into the sigil early on, and he didn't have that sigil available, so took that very defensive option from Mowgli, and I really like that. Bails Ricomeza out, and is starting to put some brakes on the early aggression from this Koshka, which again we saw, if a Koshka doesn't get the chance to snowball, her team fight damage output in the mid game isn't as good as it should be. Ricomeza did struggle in the last game on Koshka to actually have a majority impact, so Joseph just having a little bit of brakes put on his speed, but we'll see. He's very, very good. He finds opportunities really well, and we're still very much in the early game.
I think one of the things about Joseph is that he knows exactly when to strike. Like, he'll play incredibly patiently and all of a sudden just turn it up to 100, and he knows this hero almost better than anyone. Joseph down in the jungle by himself currently, just clearing out his mid through the jungle rotation. He'll go peek up into the lane, see if he can find something.
There was a point in the North American VG8 where Koshka had 100% win rate, and Joseph was one of the main proprietors behind that. So he definitely knows this hero inside out. C9 again, trying to pressure lane. Mowgli, good defensive, Bright Bulwark to just shut anything down. Ricomeza though, he's gone aggressively.
I was going to say, C9 know that the Blackfeather is alone in the jungle because they just forced the Lyra under turret. Ricomeza sniffs that out, moves to try and take the bags. He doesn't find it, has to port them.
Yeah, I think he's just waiting around for them to potentially respawn. Really aggressive move from him, maybe actually catching Joseph off guard because the Crystal Sentry is due to spawn soon. Joseph is going to get his hands on the backs of Ricomeza though, so they're just going to trade back for back at this point.
Yeah, and this is going to be just fine. As far as Ricomeza is concerned, he just wants to dodge out this damage. Like you said, he wants to get to the level 8. He needs to get his items up and running, and he cannot allow the Koshka to run over him. So I think it's a really smart move, and I like it.
Have you seen these really defensive scout traps from Mowgli, by the way? There's a scout trap in the back jungle brush there for him, and that's really showing where Joseph was on the map. Ricomeza will have just seen he's now getting caught potentially between a rock and a hard place, but finds the perfect position to back off, and we'll get back to base.
Ricomeza, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, I'm incredibly impressed with this guy. He's making the very smart plays in the positioning there. It's so intelligent.
Last split, VGL. This split, VG8. Unified Western Live Championship attendee, wins a game against C9. What more can you say about one of the rising superstars from the European jungle? He's done some incredible work for DG over the course of this series. He's got to step it up again on this CP Blackfeather, has to have an impact.
I mean, we see so many players play through multiple seasons and maybe even not have a chance to be here at the championship. He's doing phenomenal at this point. One thing I'm seeing right here, I Love Joseph's damage is actually really starting to stack up. You see when he jumps in on Mowgli, Mowgli getting burst down to 40% health incredibly quickly.
This is something that Von C, I think, popularized on the Koshka. You go towards... Ooh.
Oh, Yummy Cat and Frenzy actually coming out here. Whole bunch of damage. Ricomeza, you're in a bad place, my friend. And that's going to be your first blood. Now, 5 minutes. It's not your first minute, first blood as we saw in the past, but C9 still taking that advantage.
Again, like you said, really good at finding the opportunities. They timed that jungle really well. Remember, the last jungle was completely cleared by C9 and I Love Joseph himself, so they knew exactly when those camps were going to spawn. They knew when that central, also forward healing trio was going to spawn. They timed it. They came in. They knew that Ricomeza would take it on rotation. Pinpoint, pincer, taken down.
Yeah, Ricomeza not able to get into the backs of C9 that time. And as you do see, the vision coming out here from C9 is allowing them to spot out the rotations of Ricomeza and shutting him down just a little bit right now. He has reached his level 6, and that's pretty important for him. He's not reaching that huge power spike like you talked about before, though.
Level 8 is the huge power spike, but he has got the ability to dodge out the CC now with the Rose offensive. Going to jump in.
Yeah, Ricomeza getting burst down, but the Vanguard coming in onto Joseph. Joseph thinking twice about moving in there. I'm a little bit surprised.
Dueling a Koshka in close range is very, very difficult to do, and Joseph with the level advantage right now, you do not want to go toe-to-toe with him. Ricomeza found out the hard way. Gets rebutted back.
Yummy Cat and Frenzy is going to come in here. Tricky taking a whole bunch of damage and chop down. Cloud9 are up 2-0.
There is a rule in North America about a Koshka at level 6. Europe doesn't seem to be on the same page as C9 push in. That rule is when a Koshka hits level 6, you need to make darn sure you've got a reflex block, because otherwise it's a free kill. Europe aren't on that same page. Neither of the carries have got the reflex blocks. Koshka is well past level 6. You know, the likes of Flash X will be looking at this and saying, well, Koshka's going to get a free kill every time she looks for an ultimate, and that has been the way for C9 so far.
I mean, you look at it right now, Tricky, he just died to that. He's chosen not to purchase one as he moves back out onto the map. What do you think about this?
I think it's risky. I think Tricky's really prioritizing his individual position and mechanics over the fact that this is a point-and-click ultimate that needs to be blocked. I think he's working... He's not even got a space open. He's going to get a poison shift before he gets a reflex block. I think it's risky, very risky play here. Rikimeza at least has the beginnings of a reflex block, so has got the slot open for it.
Yeah, at least he has his ultimate available to him as well. Joseph, he's going to take away the mid once again from Rikimeza. Right, bulwark down from Mowgli, a lot of aggression. Joseph, he's underneath the turret, has the damage. Mowgli forced to use the fountain. And Cloud9 will go ahead and back off there, but they're holding their own fountain. They also have a gauntlet available.
They also have the Koshka ultimate as well, and again, like we said, reflex blocks are few and far between. Crucible has been, oh no, even just the reflex block from Mowgli has been
Someone's
used.
about to get wrecked. Gauntlets down. Wait for it. Comes through. Shimmer Strike buying a little bit of time. A Rose offensive out of it. Mowgli gets deleted right there. Tricky potentially going to jump in. Pouncey Bun. Joseph gets him. Fountain comes out. Looking for more. Yummy Cat and Frizzy to finish it off. How about the cherry on top?
And you can hear the crowd here in North America impressed and excited with the way C9 has picked up in this series. Honestly, Dynasty Gaming just disrespecting the level 6 Koshka, disrespecting the amount of CC that comes out at level 6 from the C9 composition. And Tricky jumping in for CS there, opens himself up for an easy kill, and C9 get the turret too. This is a big snowball starting to open up. The biggest gold in the 8 minutes that we have seen so far for C9. They have come back to mean business. They are happy to let that one game slide. Dynasty get the one. The one game is nothing when you don't get the series.
Yeah, you got to wonder if Dynasty maybe being a little bit psyched out mentally, because that feels like a very predictable play right here. But as time moves forward, you know that they have to, I mean, maybe they get fooled once. I don't think they're going to allow it to happen one more time. C9, though, as they get these abilities up, when they have that gauntlet ready to go, the Yummy Cat and Frenzy, like you said, it is so hard to deal with both of those CCs.
And I love what C9 are doing here. They know they are ahead. They've got the item spikes in their favor. They've got a very powerful Koshka with the Broken Myth finished up now. It means they can just run for these global objectives and say to Dynasty Gaming, you come to us.
Uh-oh, Rikimeza, you're in a tough place, my friend. They turn the focus, they switch it over to Tricky. Can Tricky get out of this when he's repositioning? The fountain comes out, Shimmer Strike buying a bit of time. Yes, they take it down Old School, and Island Joseph's low as well. That shock room was so good right there. Gabe Bizzle getting lit up. Rikimeza moves in, on point, not quite connecting as he would have liked it. And they do need to drop this turret aggro and move in. Joseph really hanging around here. I'm a bit surprised. What is the play? What are they actually trying to attempt to do to hang around?
They're going to pause, is the play. I think you mentioned the crucial moment there. The chakram bouncing that Tricky got off with that ultimate was absolutely impressive.
So good.
So good, because he bounced it multiple times across the C9 composition, giving him the opportunity to take out Old School there. That was a really tough situation for Dynasty to recover from, and they did. And a lot down due to the way that Tricky played that Idris, allowed him to put that pressure onto Old School. He was doing so well against the Adagio, showing like he can do it again against the Vox. So have a look at the replay of this fight here. Again, check out Tricky, goes straight in. Rikimeza recovers, and it was a really good bright bulwark coming out from Mowgli, because it allowed him to stall out this fight. But again, there you go. The use of the ultimate there from Tricky, very, very good to put pressure onto Old School on this Vox. And DG probably could have got away with a lot more here. I think they'll come away with a turret at least, which will help even the keel, but I think DG recovered so well, in part due to Mowgli using that bright bulwark to stall out, allowing Rikimeza to reset from the back line and obviously have those on points, which are extended range now that we're at level 8.
Now these teams taking a moment to kind of collect themselves. I mean, you're in a situation here with the series tied up where you can really start to build that massive momentum towards the series victory here.
Absolutely. Dynasty, this is a really key moment for them, because this is a team fight that they weren't expected to win. C9 came into the team fight with the confidence of the fact that we are dominating these fights. We are dominating. Reflex blocks were really good from Dynasty as well to prevent some of that engage. And then they lost it. So C9 have now got to recoup and think we had a mid-game advantage and we just kind of lost the team fight. How did that happen?
I mean, there is so much happening right here, but what are the implications of what Dynasty have done to Cloud9? When you think about what Fnatic and SK are starting to think about as they're watching this, and they were coming in as the hopes of Europe.
if Dynasty win this series, which, let's be honest, it's a long way off that to being a reality, all of Europe will say, we can beat anybody. If Dynasty beats C9, any European team could beat any North American team.
100%.
The level playing field is there. Europe is finally catching up to North America. If anything, I would say a lot of the North American players are saying the gap has significantly widened. If anything, it looks like the gap is closer than ever. Europe shouldn't have taken a game off C9, especially.
I think it was Zio in his interview who said, we've heard rumors that they're actually pretty good. Well, I think this is the answers right here.
Well, the rumors are certainly being proved true, because specifically coming back from a team fight when you're 4K gold behind and actually getting the win and decisively getting an objective off the back of it too, the synergy you can see is there in these team fights from Dynasty. Mowgli, I've got to say, look, I have always said that Mowgli is an incredible mind in the Vainglory scene, but some of his mechanical play over the course of the last split has been a little lackluster. Felt like he wasn't quite in the same position that he was in Team Secret. He has been mechanically amazing this series. Mowgli has stepped things up really, really well.
He really did. I mean, we saw him on the Lance, right? He was landing multiple impales, multiple getting involved. He was playing, of course, you know, Gabe Bizzle played out of his mind on the Lance as well, but it was really beautiful to watch.
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, we often understate how important captains are in games. Often, a lot of the credit, in all MOBAs, credit often goes to the carries, their individual performances, their mechanical gifts. But in Vainglory, more than anything else, it's one of the games where the support is genuinely game-breaking. If you can make the proper captain plays, if you can make the proper shot calls or the use of abilities to prevent or set things up, captains have more influence in this game more than any other MOBA that I've played in my lifetime. And and you can see that in these games. You can see how influential Gabe and Mowgli have been across this series. And Mowgli right here has been very, very solid on this Lyra.
Mowgli has looked great, and you know it's been a while since we saw Mowgli up at the top, but he was winning European championships for good reason, right? He was flanked by great players. He's put together a great team right here. Tricky coming in as an amazing sub. I mean, how many subs can just come in, step in, and play like he's been playing? For me, though, I'm most impressed with Riku Meza. He is all business. Sometimes these guys that are incredibly skilled, like Riku Meza showing he has the skill, get a little bit flashy, get a little bit ahead of themselves, make some plays maybe they shouldn't. But it's very rare that I actually see Riku Meza overstepping himself or taking a play that he shouldn't.
Riku Meza is a measured jungler here. I think, like you said, he doesn't... Maybe in the second game there was some awkward, aggressive play in the early game, but everything else that I have seen from Riku Meza has been incredibly professional. You know, he knows his limits. He knows when and where his power spikes are. Doesn't take awkward fights when he has the opportunity to have a say in it. For instance, C9 caught him out. He didn't really know that was happening. But everything else, he's been able to disengage and find the right openings. And honestly, even if Dynasty lose this series, which it's still super open, I think Europe can be proud of them.
Oh, I'm proud of them right now. I think also looking at Riku Meza, one of the things that, I mean, not just him, but when you see any player do it, it's when they rotate through the jungle without vision and correctly predict where their opponents are. When they rotate around the bottom of a wall and their opponents are coming around the top side, they don't actually have it. We've seen him do this multiple times now, and that shows that his game sense is just immense.
I think nobody expected this series to be as even as it is. It has been an incredibly even series between what is most people call the heavyweight of North America, one of the two heavyweights of North America, and nobody expected Dynasty to do this well. Nobody expected Dynasty to even take a game of Cloud9, and they have, and they're battling them in the third game, coming away with teamfight wins, looking like they're every bit as synergistic as Cloud9.
Yeah, I think potentially maybe only 3 players brackets would be correct if Dynasty actually take this series. It'll drop down to about 0.05% correct in the brackets. We'll see when VG Pro put that out later. These guys getting ready to get back in the game here in a little bit, just kind of prepping.
I think, you know, C9, they are a team that recovers incredibly well, though. They're a team, if you go to late game, Old School's on his Vox. It's an incredibly good scaling late game weapon power carry. The mobility is there. He can kite effectively, even more so than he can against Dagio. Looks like we're starting things up again. Dynasty do get the turret, and that gold lead, still 4,000, but it doesn't feel like it's as significant as it once was, given that team fight win there for Dynasty.
Yeah, it doesn't. What a delicious way to load back into the game if you're Dynasty. They'll start this, we'll take the turret, and move from there. Now, Cloud9, they have advantage. They're feeling good. They have a strong composition here. They've been fighting around their cooldowns incredibly well. I'm waiting for the Yummy Cat and Frenzy to come back up. The wait for it as well. Very similar cooldown at this point. Gabe Bizzle has Gauntlet ready to go.
2,000 gold there for Riku Meza. Is going to invest heavily into defensive itemization and the piercing shard. The reflex blocks now come through. Tricky working towards what could be a tension bow, could be a bone saw. We'll have to see the piercing shard come through. Maybe the tension bow for the flat burst damage against Old School, however. That is a similar build to where he decided to go last game. I feel like bone saw might be a little bit too slow against this composition from C9, so we'll have to see where that one works out. But the range advantage is now there for Ricky Meza, by the way. He has got that level 8 range advantage, so can now look to poke continuously with that on point, and it'll be up to C9 to make those proactive moves.
Yeah, I like to see that Old School already has his Aegis complete. You see Joseph building into that as well. It's one way that you can mitigate the damage actually coming out of the Black Feather here.
One of the problems that Ricky Meza is going to face is that realistically the Black Feather doesn't come fully online until he gets the Broken Myth. What you do as a Black Feather, a CP Black Feather, is you spam your on points, you land targets, you build Broken Myth stacks over the course of a number of seconds, and then when you're at 9 Broken Myth stacks, those on points hit like a truck, and you can find those executing blows with your fates. So that's realistically where we want, I think, Ricky Meza to be a sort of a tenable threat in these team fights.
If he can do that, I will be incredibly, I'm already impressed. I'll be more impressed with him, specifically because you look at the Koshka, has insane movement speed. Old School has Sonic Zooms. It's hard to actually lock these guys down to be consistently landing those.
Look at the item spikes for Joseph specifically. Leaps and bounds ahead of Ricky Meza right now. It's probably where the majority of the gold advantage is coming out. He's almost doubling that farm from Ricky Meza, 45 to sort of 71. It's getting very close to, you know, complete domination in terms of farm and gold output. So Joseph is kind of the driving factor behind the major gold advantage that C9 has right now. And again, global objective focus really there for C9, but Dynasty look like they want to try and turtle this one out, try and play for the late game, it seems.
Yeah, and they appear to be doing so decently at this point. I mean, the gold mining goes the way of C9, but Dynasty aren't putting themselves in a position where they're going to lose the fight and actually lose more than what they just lost on the map. And we're going to see C9 up in the lane, flares coming out from Gabe, just making sure that he's not going to walk into an ambush of any sort. Mowgli doing his best to keep these sigils out for vision as well. C9 as 3, moving forward. They have pretty much everything if they want to look for a fight here.
Another pause comes through. We'll have to wait and see. C9 in a good position to make an aggressive move. I really like what they're doing. They're saying, okay, look, we need to try and bring Dynasty towards us while we have these advantages on the Koshka. We can't allow them to dictate how these team fights take place. We can't allow them to poke us. We can't allow them to have position, especially in lane. So what C9 are doing is they're focusing global objectives, saying, contest us. They're going for the lane and pushing as units, saying, defend your turret. They're saying, let's bring Dynasty to us so we can find the right opportunity to team fight. And that looks like the way that they're trying to find a win here. It almost worked out for them in their last team fight, but it was an incredible piece of defensive play from Dynasty that brought them back in. But I do like the way that they're playing here. Dynasty are now, in this current immediate moment, faced with the decision of backing to base and maybe losing the choke point turret, or trying to run in, take an aggressive maneuver, and maybe face a team fight that they're not quite ready for.
Yeah, exactly. I think Cloud9 moving forward, looking to potentially bait Dynasty out just a little bit from the safety of that turret. I think they have to be careful, though. As long as they're moving as a unit, making sure that everybody's protected, they should be fine. But if one of them gets separated and bursts down, they can drop incredibly quickly. We're back into the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Tricky just clearing out the wave here. C9 drops back into the depths of the jungle.
Tricky at his 3 items now, working towards his Aegis. I'm wondering whether he's going to go for some armor, maybe an Atlas Bolters or Metal Jacket this time round. Yeah, he will be picking up the armor. Knows that maybe he's going to need to survive longer against a Vox that is going to kite more readily than the Adagio did the last time he played the Idris. Bit more mobile, so have to contend with more damage output. Much prefer this route from Tricky. I think it's a lot safer, a lot more sensible, a lot more measured from him, and it's showing the breadth of this player. Has the ability to be both aggressive, but has the sort of the know-how to know when the defense is the right option.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we talked about Ricky Meza, all business. Tricky kind of a hybrid in between that flashy player and a measured player, which is a very talented player. Oh, Gauntlet over the wall. Tricky reflexes, he's out. Arcane Passage from the wire as well. They're right back in. Uh-oh, that's not the place you wanted to be. They're losing Tricky. He's dropping low. Yummy Cat and Frizzy coming in. Joseph has him. But can they find more? Yes, they can. Double kill right there coming through. Joseph, can he find the triple? No, that's going to go to Old School. But that is an ace for Cloud9. It's going to put them up 9-1, about 14 minutes in here. A Crystal Sentry as well.
Huge mistake from Dynasty there. They ran back through that portal. This is going to see C9 finishing off this choke point turret. Don't think they're going to have enough to finish the game, but certainly now accelerating their lead. that was all because Dynasty committed to disengaging out of the Arden Gauntlet, and then unfortunately they funneled both Mowgli and Rikimeza back through that portal. I think we're going to have a look at it in just a second. Replay coming up on your screens. Take this. Really good disengage. Reflex block portal, but unfortunately, Tricky and Rikimeza run straight back through, put themselves back in harm's way, do all the work for C9 and get cleaned up. That was just a simple, unfortunate error with positioning and placement of the portal.
Yeah, so you're thinking they definitely didn't mean to actually walk back into that.
I would be surprised, given that the way that they initially approached that fight, that they meant to walk back into the gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things with Lyra. When you're playing here, things happen so fast. So you have to be really careful where you're actually throwing that portal down. I apologize to Starboy and Fuji in the past if I trolled them out without. Right here, though, you have to see Mowgli. He's not going to make that mistake again. I would expect him to be landing that exactly in the perfect position.
This is the C9 that we've seen over the course of the split. Not one moment on the fold is spent doing nothing. Always an objective in mind, always looking to take something off the map, be it Crystal Sentry. Efficiency on the map, that's what I really love to see. Straight up starting this Kraken, bringing Dynasty to them, saying we are throwing down the figurative gauntlet and maybe the literal gauntlet.
All right, right now, this is going to be some big plays. What will happen, Shock? Grum's out, Tricky trying to find the damage. He's in there with the Shimmer Strike. He's on to Old School. Old School kiting back. Sonic Zoom, the gauntlet finds the stun. Rikimeza is down. Tricky stunned up with a Yummy Cat and Frenzy. Chop down, double kill for Joseph. Mowgli down to Old School. A bit of a deja vu there.
C9 baited them in, they sliced them down, and they're going to win this game as well and go 2-1 up against the European underdogs who have surprised everybody, but C9 seem like they're back to business. The aced buff minions walking through Humanist. This could be game 3, going over to Cloud9.
I would expect C9 to try and close this one out here. They're going to split the turrets down, and they have the damage to burst down this Vein Crystal. Dynasty, let's see if they can make the miraculous play. Cloud9, they're onto the Vein Crystal. Joseph is the target, he's dropping low. They've taken Joseph down. They're on to Old School now, they're over the top side. Old School still on the Vein Crystal, they got the damage. They've got the win. Cloud9 up 2-1 over Dynasty Gaming.
That's gonna